The book that I decided to read from independently is an autobiography by Miley Cyrus called Miles to Go, which was published on March 3rd, 2009. The book revolves around Cyrus's life, which oddly starts in 6th grade, when you would think an autobiography would start in the beginning of her life. And it ends right after her first feature film, Hannah Montana the Movie, was released. The schools of criticism I used to analyze this book were feminist and Marxist criticism. How are male and female roles defined? In the book, Cyrus explains that as a child, her mother was, as she says, always at home with us kids, while my famous dad, Billy Ray Cyrus, was in Canada filming the TV show Doc, which he starred in, and how he would always fly back and forth to Canada and Nashville to visit us. In this situation, the female and male roles are very stereotypically defined. The female is at home with the kids while the male is out working and making money to pay the bills for the house. Although Billy Ray Cyrus is a big star, the Cyrus family at the time still represented a stereotypical American family. What constitutes masculinity and femininity? In the book, Miley's mom convinces her into doing cheerleading, which was something that she did as a child as well. Miley later on continues to explain how there were no boys on the team and how it was her, as I quote, escape from reality, end quote. This constitutes femininity because cheerleading is known as a sport for girls. Even if you look at our school's cheerleading team, you notice that there's no boys on the team, even though the option is always available for them to join. The way masculinity is constituted in the book is how Miley described what her dad, Billy Ray Cyrus, did in his free time. She explains how, quote, Dad would go rabbit hunting with his friend and his rabbit hunting dogs. Not only does this constitute masculinity, but it brings out the stereotypical male in the country setting of the United States. With nothing to do in the country except farming, hunting is a very popular activity among the men in the country areas. Just like cheerleading being known as a sport for girls, hunting is a very well-known sport for males. It's very rare to hear of a woman in the country setting going hunting unless she's with her husband. What is the social class of the author? Miley was born into fame since she had a dad who was the biggest country star in the world at the time. Since that is the case, Cyrus, the author, is upper class, obviously. She had a decent-sized house in Nashville, 3 dogs, and a superstar dad that makes millions of dollars every year. However, Miley seemed to be like any other person. She went to school and she did extracurriculars. When Miley first landed the part on the popular TV show Hannah Montana and was forced to move to Los Angeles, she explained how, quote, Mom bought the smallest house she could find in LA, almost like a catalog. This shows that even though she was born into upper class, she was taught not to let it get to her, so she didn't abuse the power. Which class does the work seem to represent? We all know that Miley Cyrus is upper class because of who her dad was. However, when Miley wrote the book, it makes it seem like her family actually acted like they were the average middle-class Americans. Unlike most upper-class people, Miley didn't suffer from affluenza. She explains, quote, how I got in fights with my dad because he wouldn't let me go somewhere or do something, which is what the producers of Hannah Montana observed to make his character seem more realistic. Even though Cyrus is upper class, her work represents her as an average middle-class citizen of Tennessee in LA. I believe that both of the schools of criticism that I used were equally effective on interpreting this book. This is because the book revolves around how fame and the way she grew up made her the person she was when she finished writing the book. While telling the story, she talked about the various examples of masculinity and femininity between her parents, family, and co-workers. Also, she gives various examples of Marxist criticism by talking about her growing fame, having a famous father, and the glamorous moments of her life.